inaugural season ended in disappointment. A Spectrum loss to the Washington Wave in the playoff opener. Year 2 began as Year 1 ended. The Philadelphia Wings were clipped at Washington, buried by 5 goals as the fourth period began. Then a high-speed offensive burst. 6 unanswered goals left the Wings on the threshold of victory. But the Wave would not be wiped out. A Mark Gold last-minute goal forced overtime. And a Kirk Thurston put-away ended it. And so these now familiar foes meet once more as the Philadelphia Wings host the Washington Wave next. Prism Sports presents the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. Brought to you by Coors Light, the right beer now. U.S. Air, fly the USA on U.S. Air. STX, the official equipment supplier. And the Philadelphia Airport Hilton, the official headquarters of the Philadelphia Wings. Now from the Spectrum, the Philadelphia Wings meet the Washington Wave. It is Year 2, the fledgling Major Indoor Lacrosse League. Good evening. Welcome to the Spectrum, everybody. I'm Larry Rosen, joined by Tony Seaman, lacrosse coach, University of Pennsylvania. And, Tony, it is indeed a new look. Philadelphia Wings, new coach, new general manager.
Yes, we have Dave Evans in from Canada, box experience, field experience. We have Michael French, the general manager, last year's player for the Wings. I'm very impressed with this year's administration.
And indeed, they returned the most valuable player in the league from a year ago, a man named John Tucker. We came to appreciate him night in and night out last year.
I don't think there was a game that we didn't turn to each other at the end and say, wow, John Tucker was unbelievable. Last week down in the Washington Capitol Arena, at the end of the game, we say, was John Tucker there? He's got to be here tonight.
They do have a newcomer to talk about named Gary Martin, scored a hat trick. He's a Penn State graduate and now a Philadelphia area resident. What do we know about Gary?
Gary's an excellent athlete, brings really good skills. He's almost going to be another John Tucker. Maybe not the enforcer, but certainly a great scorer and an assist man. I think he brings a good deal of depth now to the Wings.
Meantime, on the back line, the goaltending core will be split this year. Kevin Bilger got the lion's share of playing time last year. Vinny Pfeiffer down from New Jersey, a draft acquisition here in Philadelphia. Strengths and weaknesses of the two guys.
Well, Bilger we saw last year. He's a streak goalie. If he's hot, he's on. He's very, very good. Pfeiffer, I think, is the best athlete in the whole league in the goal. He's proved himself in the field game for years. He played for the Saints last year, was a dominant force, changed his address. Michael drafted him. I think they got a real winner.
Do you believe that the league has made the proper changes to get it together for Year 2?
Well, certainly most of the players now have that experience of Year 1 underneath their belt, and that's going to mean a lot. You've got American players who came off the field playing the box game, and now they're seasoned veterans. I think it's going to improve. That's
the setup from the Spectrum. For Tony Seaman, I'm Larry Rosen. We'll come back with the starting lineups and much more. Back to the Spectrum. Before we begin tonight's festivities, we've got a festive moment indeed on the floor. Let's go to the voice of the Spectrum, PA announcer Lou Nolan.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the face-off circle and welcome Mr. Chris Fritz, president of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. He will be awarding the 1987 Major Indoor Lacrosse League Most Valuable Player Trophy. Mr. Chris Fritz. The 1987 Most Valuable Player for the Major Indoor Lacrosse League from the Wings, John Tucker.
And Tony Seaman, John Tucker, certainly a well-deserved choice as MVP. A forward out of Niagara, Ontario, led the team with 12 goals, 11 assists, and an awful lot of crunching hits in the open floor.
He sure was our favorite last year. Let's hope that John has come here to play tonight, as we mentioned in our pregame. It's so important. He's got to have an outstanding game. He's the momentum on this team.
And our officials tonight, Scott Smith, Tom Young, and Rich Tambrino will share the duties. And here's a look at your starting lineups for the Philadelphia Wings. Martin, Conley, Pat Lehman, Crothers, DeSico, and Vinny Pfeiffer, the newcomer who was in New Jersey a year ago, in goal. It'll be Soule, Thurston, Hanley, Lehman, and Mark Gold, along with Hastings in the goal. That's Tim Hastings for the Washington Wave.
I think a lot of people are surprised that Hastings has got the nod here for the start, but Coach Glenn Little says he's going to split both of these goalies all year long. It's going to be Hastings in the first half, and it's going to be Jimmy Beardmore, the great All-American goalie from the University of Maryland in his first year in the box league.
There are the look at the scratches. Brad Kotz, the most noticeable name. Kotz, of course, an All-American, one of the greatest outdoor players ever, has not yet suited up for the Philadelphia Wings.
That's a difference of 6 goals, Larry. 3 goals that Washington won't score because he's not with them, and 3 goals that he would score a game for the Wings. Glenn Little, the coach of the Wave, said it's kind of like good news and bad news. He hates to see Brad out of the league, but at the same time, he's glad that he's not playing for the Wings.
Meanwhile, for the Wave, Emmett Printup, the #1 name on that list among the scratches. Printup was a solid performer a year ago.
Great speed, great quickness, great Syracuse attackman, dominant in the league last year.
We have a view from behind Vinny Pfeiffer, the head coach at Loyola College. So our coach, Seaman from the University of Pennsylvania, has to show all due respect to Coach Pfeiffer.
Vinny Pfeiffer is a great, great athlete. He's a triathlon man. He's a weightlifter. He's just always in phenomenal shape. I think he's one of the greatest goalies to play the game in a long time, up there with the likes of Quinn from Hopkins and Beardmore from Maryland. And it's a real big draw that Mike French was able to bring him here to the Wings from the New Jersey Saints.
We have a late arriving crowd, fashionably late, as expected. So we're delayed a moment or two. Give us a chance to set the scene a little bit. Of course, Pfeiffer will be backed up by Bilger, Kevin Bilger, out of University of Maryland, who was the #1 goaltender for the Wings a year ago.
And as we saw, when Bilger went well and he got his confidence up, he was very, very tough to score on. And through 3 or 4 straight games, he really led the Wings to victory. But then in the playoffs, it was very disappointing as he had a real poor second and third quarters to let Washington win in a big upset here at the Spectrum last year.
And at the other end, we see the goaltender, Tim Hastings. Meanwhile, there are indeed a couple of major changes in the rules in year #2. #1, Coach, the crease has been reduced in size from 9 foot to 6 foot. What does that do to the play?
Well, that gets your shooters a lot closer to the cage to fire the ball. It makes it tougher on the goalie. It's going to increase the scoring. We all like goals. So certainly an addition and a favorable, positive addition to the shooter, to the offensive player.
They had experimented with using a larger lacrosse ball, but hopefully to help it be picked up actually on television a little bit better, but they've not yet developed that fully, so they won't do that this year. Meanwhile, among the fighting majors are now 3 minutes, not 5 minutes. That's another major change, but offensive screening is, of course, still allowed, and there's still a lot of legal stick working against the player in possession of the ball, but not in possession when the player is not in possession of the ball. And how much different is that from the outdoor game?
Well, the outdoor game, there's absolutely no cross-checking, and there's no hitting the player without the ball in any way, except for a still pick like basketball. I think both of these changes were made to protect the player in his safety in the box game from last year. We saw when the serious injury was the real violent push from behind or the cross-check when you weren't expecting it. It's still going to be rough and tough.
Fastest game on 2 feet. Of course, the gentlemen are well protected. They all must wear helmets and with masks. It's basically the Jaffa hockey helmet and an iTech face mask. So coming up around the head or throwing a punch may not do all that much business. Goaltender Hastings is backed up by Jim Beardmore, the son of the general manager. And in speaking with the head coach, Glenn Little, he thinks eventually Jim Beardmore may be the preeminent indoor lacrosse goaltender, but he's just not ready as yet. He hasn't had the experience in front of a crowd like this one, so Hastings gets the starting nod.
The other big difference from the field game to the box game is that the goaltender is not going to bring his stick up above his hips. It's going to be down on the ground between his legs, and that's where he's going to make his saves from. And in the field game, he's got to worry about an extra 2 feet above his shoulders, and that's not true here in the box game.
There's the back of the head of Glenn Little. I'm sure he's not thrilled that that's the view we've chosen for him, but he was indeed a goaltender last year and much happier in the suit and tie. Meantime, on the other end, Dave Evans, who was a goaltender himself in the National Lacrosse League back with Montreal in '75. He's a greenskeeper out in Vancouver during the summertime, but putting in full-time duty here in Philadelphia in the course of the winter. He's also had a lot of indoor coaching in the Canadian Box League with the Vancouver Burrods, so he knows what he's doing and should add a good deal more expertise to the basic Wings attack.
Absolutely. He's certainly going to bring a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of know-how for the box game. And it is basically different. There's a lot of philosophy to it that is different. As I've commented a little bit on last year, Larry, I'm impressed with Buddy Dearmore. I think he's a great coach. I've always felt that way. I thought last year he took the least talented team in the league to the championship game and almost won it. So anything that he's connected with, I think they're going to be real successful. So not only are you playing against a real good Wave team that last week beat the Wings, but you're playing against Buddy Dearmore too.
All right, that is the setup as we wait for starting lineups to be announced. We'll take a quick break. Stay with us. Opening faceoff coming up in a moment from the Spectrum. And we're moments away from the opening draw. Coach Seaman, how about some keys to victory for both squads?
Well, I think last week we had a 14-13 game down at the Capitol Arena in Washington. It was an overtime game. Anytime you open up on the road, you maybe got a goal or two that you got to make up. So I certainly think the Wings are going to be in it tonight. They got to push the ball upfield better than they did last week. They got to look for the fast break. They got to try to get the 2-on-1, the 1-on-0 against the goalie. They're important keys. They've got to do better with their man up, although they were 1 for 2, but they only had 2 penalties against the Washington Wave last week. So there's another area where I think they would like to expound on a little bit. The Wave, consistent goaltending last week won it for him. It's important for Hastings to stay sharp. If he does, it's going to be a real tight ball game. We've got a great deal of parity, I think, in this league this year.
That is John Conley, who will take the opening draw for Philadelphia. Tom Young, the referee that will start it up. Mark Gold, who had fantastic success in the face-off area a week ago for Washington, will start it up, and we are underway. Season number 2 here at the Spectrum. Glad you're with us. Larry Rosen, Tony Seaman, happy to bring you Major Indoor Lacrosse League action. We'll identify the players as we go. The screen from DeSico, and that's Conley. Working man-to-man, gets off the weak shot. Again, the smaller crease is our first hit of the night from Mark Gold. Once more, there's a 45-second shot clock, which still runs. It's down inside 20 right now as the Wings reset. Wide open, here's Gary Martin. Good no-look pass inside and a score! Pat Lehman, the first goal of the season at the Spectrum, off the great cross-crease look from Gary Martin.
So important to move the ball once you pick it up. There's the creation of the 2-on-1. Here it is on replay. They get the ground ball after the shot. It's going to come across, finds it, has time to move the goalie, puts it past Hastings' knee and ankle. Once again, the importance of getting a 2-on-1 where you can make that goalie move. The shooter comes in with the ball face, it gives it across on a great feed. He's got time, once again, to stress the overhand shot.
Again, it's only 33 seconds in. Lehman, an All-American at Loyola of Baltimore. He's 23 years of age, had 6 goals, 3 assists in the first season. And that's his 3rd goal already this year. Here they come, fast breaking. Down to our right, that's Carruthers. The back pass goes through DeSico. And the Wings come. And a score! Maybe through a screen as Hastings was beaten cleanly off a seemingly innocent play. Again, it is Pat Lehman.
Pat Lehman with a terrific shot. He's going to go off the hip here from outside. I don't really think it's screened. It's not. He just puts it down low. It's a nice bounce to Hastings' left off his knee. We've got a penalty on the play, but that'll be erased by the goal.
No, I don't think so. Mark Gold is in the penalty box.
Oh, it is.
So that must have come moments after the shot had been taken, although we do have a bit of a conference here to see if the penalty should be wiped out. There's Mark Gold in the penalty box.
It should be wiped out. There's no question about that.
Mark Gold, the most penalized member of the Wave a year ago. And indeed, he has a reprieve.
Mark Gold originally had been placed in the penalty box.
And again, the penalty came as the shot was being taken, and Lehman's goal erases the minor. So 50 seconds in, a quick start. And Glenn Little said his club wanted to get off to a quick start to try to eliminate the crowd early on the road, a large crowd here at the Spectrum.
Well, that certainly helps. As a goaltender, you love to get hit or make that first save. 2 shots, Hastings hasn't saved either one. Now his confidence is a question. We might see Beardmore early.
That's Dave Quattrini, as this is the white unit for Coach Little, with Weicker, Mark Gold, Matt McGady, and Kirk Thurston. Inside, a nice takedown on Weicker by Philadelphia.
This is standing at the neutral line.
A little bit of ball chasing going on. John Tucker certainly very active. He's number 2 out at the top on the defensive side. And a fresh clock at 45 for Matt McGady. Off a screen. Evander looks in the slot. The shot is well wide from Weicker. McGeady starts at the top.
Excellent defense by Tucker.
Loose ball is corner taken by the Wings.
And off the loose ball, the scramble is picked up by Quattrini, but we've got a violation.
Ball belongs to the Wave.
And the Wave will reset. Very active defensive man-to-man set by the Wings.
They drop the ball off their bench.
And now the blue unit comes out for Washington. This is their big, strong, powerful unit, led by Kevin Forrester and Mark Huffman. Huffman 00, Forrester number 32. Both of them 6'3", 225, are in that neighborhood. Huffman's shot is high and wide. Rebound by, that's Pat O'Connor. And a nice little play by Vinny Pfeiffer. And here comes Philadelphia in the open floor. We played 3 minutes of action.
I think we want to see the Wings try to get the ball not only up as Tucker just brought it and push it, but then to finish it. Get a shot. Don't let them get set up. Now you've got to play settle. It's tough.
And Tucker is stripped by Starkey in the open floor. And there's Hastings going toe-to-toe in the corner. And the carpet gets involved. Hastings still wants a piece. Starkey, Forrester involved.
We got a ball game going on down at the other end. They finally blow the whistle to stop the play.
At the other end, Vinny Pfeiffer got involved.
Vinny Pfeiffer's not going to sit still. He's going to come out and he's going to throw his body around a little bit, which he just did.
And again, in the indoor game, some very active goaltending. And John Tucker not going to take a backseat to anybody.
You know, as a goalie, if you haven't been shot on much in the game, you're 4 minutes into the game already. Vinny Pfeiffer's only seen one shot, which he made a nice save on. Wants to get his blood going, wants to get some movement himself, so he involves himself physically. Not a bad idea. That's Vinny Pfeiffer. It's so important in this game. Beardmore said to me before the game started, Jimmy Beardmore, the goalie, it's so hard to concentrate for 60 minutes in this game because there's so much action. There's so many fans, different colors. It's so hard to keep your eyes on the ball. So you want to involve yourself in different ways from just ball watching.
In fact, that was Glenn Little's pregame blackboard message. It said, give me 3 hours of your full concentration and show some kind of killer instinct. That's Rick Sohl with the ball. Probably the quickest player on either squad, just in terms of pure speed. He kicks it back out front to Joey Gold. Gold has a little bit of a knee problem, shoots it high. Pfeiffer beats him. And back comes Philadelphia. French picks it up. The brother of the general manager, Paul French, double team behind. Should have an open man at the top. But the pass weakly is intercepted by Sohl. And in the open floor, Sohl may be dynamic for this squad. Joe Gold. Now that shot's a little bit too easy out of Joe Gold, kind of surprising. As Pfeiffer, the long outlet has Mark Nasico, but it hits arena vision. That is in play. And Lehman picks it up, John Lehman. The brother of Philadelphia's Pat Lehman, who has both the goals as we played 5 minutes. They change on the fly. Good screen set by Martin. Now he gets the return. Good head and shoulder fake. Hastings beats him. Lovely little spin move by Martin, though.
Excellent moves. He's an excellent athlete, as we've commented on. He's got a great face dodge. When you pull the stick across the front of your face and then back to the same position, that's your face dodge. You're going to have to accept a spear or some pain when you do that. But if you get that down, it's a great lacrosse maneuver. It's a great dodge. Martin does it as well as anybody.
Here's Thurston, who had the game-winning goal in overtime a week ago. And he's buried by Conley, who's got an open man cross the floor in Carruthers. Will go one-on-one with the goalie, shoots it about wrist height. Hastings handles that one.
Cut down your angle. It's tough to score. You got to come down the middle or get the ball to the middle, just like a fast break in basketball, if at all possible. Keep the goalie in front. You got all four corners. He shut himself off with a bad angle.
Gary Martin leaves it out front for DeSico. DeSico out of Maplewood, New Jersey, from Towson State. The shot taken by Conley is low and handleable by Hastings. Loose ball picked up. Cross to Carruthers. Shot off the face mask of Hastings. The quick shot by Scotty Carruthers. Carruthers, a Drexel graduate and an ECC superstar back in '84 out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. There he is. Wings have controlled play and the tempo. Good fake by Conley. Shot is handled. Conley, a little guy, 5'6", 150, has great quickness.
Great quickness. Great stutter step dodger, as we just saw there. He's really tough to play for 4 or 5 steps. He's got a good shot. Glenn Little, the coach of the Wave, feels that Conley is the most dangerous player on the wings.
Here's the blue unit now for Washington. That's Starkey, Hank Starkey. His shot is about 7-8 feet shy. And a lost stick in front. And a score. Right off that, I believe that's Forrester, or is it Mark Huffman? That's Mark Huffman, 0-0, the big fella. At 6'4", 220, scores it finally after 7 minutes.
Right off the hip, the left side, off the stick side against Pfeiffer. And got him going down a little bit. I think then he's got to hold it up higher before he's got to see the ball better and not commit himself to his knees so quickly. And it was a higher shot. He expected a bounce shot.
And the most available portions of the goal, usually upper corner, lower corner, or the 5-hole.
The assist number 32, Kevin Forrester.
And we've taken a timeout on the floor. Give us a chance to meet and greet a Philadelphia Wings. We will break and meet a crowd pleaser in this Wings profile of MVP John Tucker. And play just underway as Mark Gold gets hammered by Bozell immediately after the faceoff. Yet that will still go down as a faceoff victory for Washington as they eventually come up with possession.
And they won 21 and lost 9 last week, and now it's 2-2. So much improved, and I know Philadelphia worked on this a great deal this week.
And with this unit, Gold will take the faceoff and go sit down for O'Connor, who comes right in front. And Starkey runs down the rebound. Hank Starkey. At the top, it's Huffman again. Not really known for his lightning stick work. And they had a man in front in Forrester, but that one rolls through the crease. Alone behind. That's dangerous, and a quickie is knocked in. I believe it's by Paddy O'Connor.
Reached around almost from the X spot behind and just stuck it in over Vinny's shoulder, over Pfeiffer's shoulder. It's a real smart play. They leave him alone back there. Nobody takes him. Now watch, he'll just fake it, step around, and then quick. It's right over the left-hand corner of Pfeiffer.
Now, is that Pfeiffer's responsibility, or should somebody have him?
Somebody should have him. Nobody went behind him. Just back and then bring it in. That stick's about 42 inches, so that gives you that extra reach along with your a foot and a half of your arm sticking out.
Pat O'Connor had the hat trick in game number 1. And Washington, with 2 goals in 45 seconds, reties the game at 2. O'Connor now with 4 goals in 1 game plus. And Philadelphia has Manley. Works off some screens, including Big Bozell's. And there's Greaves, a local product.
I think Coach Evans for the Wings is a much more oriented role player for his team. Bozell's role this year is going to be to set picks and to set screens on the goalie off his shots.
Soul works behind, has a man, but his pass is too high.
And we see Hastings come all the way out there to get that ball. In the second half, I guarantee you, Beermore will pick that ball up and he'll go down and shoot it. That'll be the difference in those two goalies.
That's Lehman, John Lehman. The low shot goes up high from Hanley, and a step on Rick Sewell for Philadelphia's John Tucker. And it's picked up by Dick Reeves, and we've got John Tucker again involved. This time with John Lehman. John Lehman is a goal scorer. Had 7 goals, 14 assists last year, most assists in the league, but now he's going to wind up escorted by Scott Smith over to the penalty box.
The Washington Wave do not want John Tucker to be a big dominant factor in this game. They're going to bother him. They're going to try to cut him off from the ball. They're going to try to remind him of them breaking 2 of his ribs last year here in the playoff game. So I think we're going to see him getting picked on all the time. Here we go, extra man.
And the man-up unit for Philadelphia should feature French, Manley, Tucker, Greaves, and Tasker.
Tasker's a new addition from the Canadian League. He's a left-hander. You'll never see the stick in his right. He's John Grant style.
And, of course, he's by far the oldest member, though Huffman breaks it free. The man down at the team has Forrester, Huffman, Gold, and Sadler. Sadler goes in, has Gold alone. Good check, though, by Tucker. Rebound covered by Pfeiffer, and back comes Philadelphia.
Tasker played great defense on that play. Just took his body, took the man out, didn't even let him have a decent shot. It was a great play. It was a great opportunity for the Wave on man extra power with a man down to have a goal.
Dave Tasker is the eye doctor, the optician from Wilmington, with a lot of experience, and a Vancouver native like the coach. There he is at the top. They work it in for a shot handled knee-high off French by Hastings, and all the way back to Vinny Pfeiffer. 5 minutes and counting, period number 1.
2 different philosophies in your power play. One is to move the ball movement. Keep your player stationary. Evident here last week and now again tonight, this is Dave Evans' style. He's going to keep his people stationary positions and move the ball, looking for that open man when you get the defense to slide. I think when we see the Washington Wave go power, they're going to move people as well as the ball. So we're going to see 2 different philosophies in that power play.
And one last offensive surge for Greaves. Has a man in front in Manley, but he can't handle. Covered and whacked at by French. Paul French had a good opportunity off the loose ball in front.
That was a great play by Greaves. Hit the open man, and the ball just got dropped. That was too bad. That was an excellent opportunity. Anytime you can try to create the 2-on-1 is what you're looking for in a settled game.
And they're able to kill the last 15, 20 seconds of the man advantage by just ragging in their own zone, and Lehman has come out. So 0 for 1 on the man advantage for Philadelphia. They had a quality opportunity, but couldn't put it away.
Definitely.
That's Pat Hanley now coming back. Number 9. Has Manley. This line includes Hanley, and Manley, along with Soul. The stutter step and shot as the shot clock goes off. Handled in the breadbasket by Vinny Pfeiffer. Now Soul is the lone forechecker, and here comes Page for Philadelphia. This is the 3rd line with McGrath, Page, French, Tasker, and McGaney. Tasker at the top. Gets a screen, and a vicious one at that. Shot off McGrath's stick is handled. McGrath is out of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. Young man that went to Harrington High School. And some high sticking around the head of Page. Apparently will yield another man advantage Philadelphia.
Here's the old man of lacrosse, Michael Page, coming out of retirement, a University of Pennsylvania All-American, the first University of Pennsylvania All-American, I might add. A great player from up in Levittown, New York, Long Island. Graduated in 1972, has come back, put the shoes on, and he can be a very dominant force. He's probably the greatest 3-step player that I've ever seen play the game. if he gets that quick dodge on you, and he's a great shooter.
And he will be used predominantly on the man up, correct?
Correct. Although they do have him running on a line, they'll try to get a pick and just free him, make somebody slide to him, and then he'll hit that open man. So here we go, power play again. Once again, we're going to see a stagnant man, but we're going to see the ball moving.
Tucker takes the shot. Again, it lands about 5-6 feet shy and yields a breakaway for Joey Gold. He's got great speed, but a good lean. Seemingly Pfeiffer read him left all the way down the floor.
Now, the last time Pfeiffer went down like that, he didn't make the save. This time he does. It was a trip
by Forrester on Graves, gets away with it. Joey Gold comes up with it. Forrester, a hulking presence, as off comes the mask, and a whistle blown against Manley.
So here he is.
Manley hit him good.
In the head, you decide.
No question.
I don't think there's much question about that.
And a timeout taken by Washington, as they will get yet another man advantage opportunity. This ends the man up for Philadelphia.
Is that payback time or what, Larry? We saw about 4 minutes ago that Hastings comes out of the goal and boards one of the wings over in the corner, gets his shots in, and a little bit later, the wings pay him back.
Now, as a general statement, Hastings is free choice. He can be hit. It wasn't that he was hit, it was the way in which he was hit.
Right, he was hit up in the head, and that is a penalty. I mean, it's very evident. It takes his helmet right off his head, so it's definitely a penalty.
Manley, who tells us he's not really one of those that's into the rough stuff too much, but they're the unnecessary roughness penalty.
Once again, only because he does hit him up in the head.
And he's only listed at 5'10", 170, so he's giving away some poundage to Mr. Hastings, but had some good momentum. If he gets him with a shoulder, that's a lightning strike check. Here, it's just a 2-minute minor.
I'd be surprised if he's that tall and that heavy. One thing that's very noticeable to me with Dave Evans now in the controls. Last year, we found the wings, very little picks for the ball, very little usage of picking the man off the ball and using the cross-check and the availability of hitting somebody and taking him out of the play. We saw the Washington Wave do that very effectively. We see them doing it tonight, but now we're seeing the wings do the same thing. I think it's giving them a definite, better dimension of offense.
All right, we are at 4-on-4 right now, as Washington still has a man in the box. And a quick left leg from Benny Pfeiffer. Back comes Philadelphia 4-on-4. Bit of a mugging as Philadelphia retains off Conley. What's the strategy 4-on-4?
Just about the same thing. It's man-to-man, and you're just playing with one less person. That's all. You're running the same basic offenses, picking for the ball or off the ball. A little more open. I think a player like John Tucker flourishes because it's more like an open field, a wide receiver, give him the ball and let him go.
Gold had Thurston. Pass went through, and Pfeiffer came out with it. And here comes Philadelphia. The turn and shot off the short hop from Gary Martin. And now we have Washington with a man advantage, as that shot was really ill-advised, really, before they could get the power play unit set.
Yeah, I can't see any sense to that. And against Vinny Pfeiffer from any more than 15 yards, I think you're just giving the ball back for another transition.
They did come out with a long rebound. Here they are in their man-up unit. Hanley. They want to work it low. They really want to try to work down low against the sagging Wings defense. Soule with a good shoulder fake. Long rebound. And Vozil ran before he had the ball. So Soule's got a man in front. Good save, Pfeiffer. And a big quick save by Vinny Pfeiffer off Hanley. Philadelphia comes 2-on-2 shorthanded, and we are now back at even strength as the penalty has expired. McGrath behind to Manley coming out of the penalty box. And a good opportunity, but Hastings beats him. So coming off the draw out of the penalty box, Manley had that last opportunity of period number 1. But our first period has ended, a bit tentative and evenly played. The Washington Wave and the Philadelphia Wings tied at 2 after 1.
It's It's the right beer at the right time. It's the silver bullet that stays so fine. It's a new way to go to town. The silver bullet won't slow you down. So come on, it's a Coors Light. It's the right beer now. To the good life, yeah. Good life, yeah. So come on, it's a Coors Light. It's the right beer now.
What a great day! Don't you love it? It's perfect, and it'll be this way for months. Whoopee!
If this isn't your idea of a good time,
For snow!
U.S. Air can take you away from it all. To the sunny skies of Florida or Arizona. You can even take advantage of our low vacation fares. So call U.S. Air or your travel consultant today. And don't be left out in the cold.
And welcome back to the Spectrum, tied at 2. And nice to see Vinny Pfeiffer wearing the silver and black of Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's going to make a great save here. Just great position. Gets down. You see the sticks right between his legs, and as Larry Rosen so fondly calls the 5-hole, and makes a great save. Vinny Pfeiffer, remember, a left-hander. The only one we've seen in the league this year. A little bit different look for shooters.
And we have switched sides, so Philadelphia will move offensively to our left, Washington to our right. And here is McGrath.
It's a big face-off control. And once again, we're seeing the Wings do a nice job on the face-off.
John Tucker took the face-off, got control, then sat down as the unit was completed by Page. Here's French, who's been quiet in period number 1. And the the ball lost. And Washington comes back. Now, very little fast breaking allowed by Evans' system. Good balance, his club back in defensive posture very quickly.
Paul French might be feeling not having brother Mike out there. Certainly last year, Michael set Paul up quite a bit. They know each other. They play with each other their whole lives. And it's a little bit different now with brother not out there.
Forrester, the spin move, covered up by Vinny Pfeiffer. And a cartwheel. Pfeiffer, the long outlet, almost perfect, but a souvenir instead.
Pfeiffer's got good eyes. He's going to look upfield for you. He's going to get the ball down. The Wings, once again, have to push the ball.
And the red unit comes out for Washington. Simply, they have red, white, and blue uniforms, and he does not want to call Glenn Little a 1, 2, and 3 line because he doesn't want anyone to feel subservient to anyone else, so he simply designates his lines by color, but the red line is most likely to be out there if the game is on the line. That's Hanley, rather. The shot is wide, will be recovered by Hanley. And a bear hug will mean some penalty time for Matt McGeeney. All the extracurriculars happened after the McGeeney penalty. John McGeeney, 22-year-old out of UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, an 86 All-American. How do you describe that?
I guess that's a tackle and a hold.
Sack.
Yeah. It's a penalty. So here we see it again from the other side, reverse angle. Great camera work. And then he gets slashed twice after that.
And playback underway. It is triggered from behind to Evander to Pat Hanley in front and the score. That was a little bit too easy for Pat Hanley against the box defense for Philadelphia. And the first power play goal, man advantage goal of the ball game, belongs to the Wave.
You let that point man in too close. He was in within 10 to 15 yards. He's going to wind up and go from there. That's going to be tough, especially when he's in the center of the shooting area, because Pfeiffer then cannot cut the angle down. He's got all 4 corners to shoot at. He puts it by him. Nice shot by Hanley.
And the first lead of the game for Washington. Hanley gets it done from the top.
Washington goal scored by number 9, Pat Hanley.
It's 3-2 Washington. John Tucker to take the draw.
The time, 2 minutes.
With Mark Gold, we'll see that pairing most often throughout the entire course of our festivities. Controlled by Philadelphia. Here comes Manley. That's Greg Manley. Loyola All-American. Had 8 goals and 4 assists a year ago. Out to Jeff Bozell.
We'll see Bozell used as a picker. Here he comes. He sets it.
He was open, finally gets it in front. Bozell scores. The role player gets a goal. He was absolutely ignored right out in front of the slot.
And John Tucker finds him wide open off of a ground ball play. Finds him open, hits him. Bozell forces himself through the check. This is interesting to watch. Now he takes the check in the head and the shoulder, shoots left-handed, nice bounce shot. Down low, gets the goalie down, it comes up over his shoulder. That's the big bounce shot. That's what you're looking for. There he absorbs the check and puts it by him. Real nice shot to the off-stick side.
And he's not out there exclusively for his goal-scoring acumen. That's a bonus as the game is back tied at 3.
Absolutely.
Jeff Wilson scores for the Wings, the assist, John Tucker.
And Conley comes out with it. John Conley, the Towson State All-ECC performer, was a midfielder in the outdoor game. Had 2 goals and 2 assists in the first game. Shot by DeSico. Rolls around behind. And a lost stick from Matt McGeady, but it leads to a 2-on-1. Mark Gold in the open floor. The over-the-shoulder shot by Thurston. Rebound. What a save by Pfeiffer with the stick. And he loses the ball in his own. And here we go without a goaltender. And Quattroni, for some reason, does not take advantage. That's somewhat surprising.
Yeah, I think you want to throw the ball up, find an open man, or at least shoot the ball and get a rebound. That's what makes coaches Ball or Gray right there. Everybody's got their own philosophy about what a goalie should do. Should he stay home or should he bring the ball and come out? Now, you think that Vane takes chances, as I mentioned quickly before. Wait till you see Beardmore in the second half, because you're just going to see an element to this game that hasn't been here before, that Jimmy Beardmore brings to the game.
As the shot clock expires, it's 25 feet wide by Hank Starkey, and a Philadelphia possession.
I think we remind everybody, Larry, that in 45 seconds you have to take a shot, and that shot has to be on the goal. In other words, it has to be within the 4x4 area, or you lose it at the end of 45 seconds. So just taking a shot that's wide doesn't help.
Dave Tasker takes a shot off the hip, an easy one to be handled by Hastings, and back comes Washington. Good pace to this one. Tied at 3. We played 5 minutes of period number 2. That shot is off the back window, and again it's Pfeiffer almost getting himself out of position, and there he is, caught, but he comes up with a big save off the shoulder, and out of bounds and a poke taken there by Hank Starkey.
He's faking him. He fakes him once too much. Pfeiffer makes a great save with his shoulder and then gets cleared out.
Now, when you see the punch thrown, that's where a penalty will come. That's a legal cross-check from the rear because he's got the ball, or at least had it, and it will mean a couple of minutes in the penalty box for that man.
That's where you got to learn to control yourself a little bit, Mr. Starkey. You could have had a power play, and instead of that, you throw the punch after the man makes an illegal check on you, and now it's even up. And not only that, but here comes the Wings with the ball. Could have been a reversal of the roles. So a little bit of discipline helps sometimes. All the time.
Spoken like a true coach.
There's no excuse for the punch because you can get away with too much physical hits out here and get somebody back completely legally. So why take away an advantage?
So much like the National Hockey League, this will go as coincidental minors, and they'll play at full strength on the floor. Philadelphia with 15 on the shot clock. Tucker way out at the line. Greaves wants to go one-on-one. Will go alone. Hastings beats him. A little bit too much one-on-one action. Leads to a 2-on-1 the other way. The sprint of Gold. The shot is handled in the midsection from Lehman. And Pfeiffer anticipating very well.
Vinny Pfeiffer is having himself an outstanding first half.
3-on-2 Philadelphia if they hurry. Greaves, nice catch around the knee. One-handed to Tucker. His shot is off the window behind. Rebound Greaves. Has a man in front, and Resch was wide open. Rebound score. Manley all alone on the third opportunity. Puts it away, 4-3 Philadelphia.
It's a great look by Greaves for the first shot, and then a real smart rebound. Here we see Greaves behind. He finds a back door, just misses, comes off the glass, puts it away. Real nice play. Really started very well by Greaves on that back door look. You see him here he looks across the cage, just a miss, comes off the glass and puts it away. Once again, great camera work.
And if you're Greg Manley, you've never had an easier one in your career.
That's right. So important. It's like having another player out there, the glass. If you're in the right position, you can play the rebound properly.
Philadelphia goes back on top. This time, Mark Gold goes against Conley in the face-off, and Philadelphia, the possession following the draw.
Won the last 3 face-offs in a row. It's a big factor when you come right back with the ball again.
Lehman, though, is stripped. 2-on-2. Thurston has a step, but Mark Gold is stripped. Pfeiffer double-teamed in the corner.
Could be a 4-on-2 down here if they move.
Conley has a man. Martin scores. Gary Martin. 5-3 Philadelphia.
If you ever want to make an instructional tape, you'd like to make Gary Martin's shot here. This is a great pass over to him. Look where his stick is. He keeps it high. Goalie doesn't know if the shot's coming out high, low, bounce, where it's going. Just a great job. And there's, once again, he comes down for the overhand shot. Goalie really has no chance. Great pass, great look off. Real nice play. Boy, you like that on an instructional tape.
And he waited for Weicker to commit one way or the other before Martin really flashed in the clear, breaking down the lane. And a great look by John Conley.
Time 6 minutes, 34 seconds.
So Philadelphia, the first 2 goals, 3 unanswered by Washington. They took a 1-goal lead. Now 3 unanswered by Philadelphia.
Tucker really is a good guy, Larry. He really is. Here, he helps him put his face mask on.
Now he'll rip it off.
For support, bringing Indoor Lacrosse to Philadelphia. Special thanks to Jeremy Hankinson, U.S. Airs, Philadelphia office.
The Wave in possession with their blue unit, following Philadelphia's 2 goals 35 seconds apart. Huffman, the screen, gets it back and scores. How do you like that? O'Connor drops for Huffman, and he blasts it through Pfeiffer.
This is going to be off the screen. Here he goes. A nice pass back. They get 2 men playing 1. Don't slide soon enough. Vinny goes the wrong way. Pfeiffer goes the wrong way on this. It's a nice look back off the double. The slide comes late. I think Vinny thought he had the ball in front of his stick. Goes underneath his left knee.
Huffman with 2 goals on the season, both of them tonight. He's open again if Starkey can get it to him, but he'll pull it back out front.
They have the ball again.
Good screen on Tucker by Forrester, but Starkey can't do much with it. And up into the second row off McGrath. And they'll give possession Philadelphia.
Right, it was in the Wave stick, and that got checked, and the ball comes out of his stick, so it's wing ball.
And off the ball, a penalty will be called on McGeaney. Right down on the near boards. Another one of those unnecessary roughness as he threw O'Connor to the ground. Pat O'Connor, a little bit of a Peter Zezel acting job, buys the penalty as well. But another man advantage coming up for Washington.
I think you're going to find, let's see what kind of formation that the Wings play here defensively on their man-down team. They're in what they call a diamond. You can see it. It's a 4-corner offense. You have 1 man up top, 2 on the sides, and 1 down low. It's different than almost anybody else plays in the league.
It yields a Hanley shot, which is wide against that diamond defense. Coach Glenn Little for Washington puts Hanley at the top of the slot rather than Lehman. Hanley really in command, although that one is high. Wave 1 for 2 on the power play thus far. And they've got a press 45. Again, it's in the hands of Hanley. Shot kicked out by Pfeiffer. Reset the clock. And the officials want to make sure they restart. And on the near side, there'll be a face-off. See if John Tucker comes out and reset the 45-second clock, as that one was kicked out by Pfeiffer, hit the screen behind. It's Mark Gold taking the draw.
Once again, a great chance for the man down team here to come up with the ball and try to kill, and they get a fast break.
Great set play for McGrath. Here he goes, one-on-one. He's beaten by Timmy Hastings, who got back quickly into his net. And McGrath might have telegraphed that one a little bit for Hastings.
Not only that, but he just took something off it at the end. He really didn't put any velocity on it. Too worried about where he's going to put the ball instead of putting it away in that spot. That's so important not to take it off at the end. A great pass by Tucker behind his back and hits him on a dead run.
Nice boot save by Vinny Pfeiffer with the left leg. Remember, still manpower advantage for Washington as Lehman looks to go behind and finally shoots it wide, and Soule picks it up. Rick Soule's been somewhat quiet, had 2 goals, 1 assist, 6 foot 190 with all the speed in the world, has done very little tonight. Evander goes behind to Lehman. Remember, Hanley's out at the top. Evander's shot is well wide.
Bozell comes at you as you're winding up to shoot. You don't see a lot of the goal. 240 pounds coming at you. You know he's going to hit you.
Now the penalty's about to end if Bozell can get it up the floor. Oh, loose ball in front. Lehman's helmet is off, and that will create a whistle. And Vinny Pfeiffer is down behind his own net. Vinny's a tough character, though. It's 5-4 Philadelphia with 5:32 remaining in period number 2. And again, the penalty has ended.
You know, when you think about it, that goalie, Vinny Pfeiffer's got about 35 pounds of equipment on. It's pretty hot in here. We're both working with our sport jackets off, and he's got a lot of heat down there. And you're running around some, boy, there's a great deal of energy that's expended.
That is Forrester trying to go it alone on Lehman. Goes for the tuck-in. But Pfeiffer says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I thought I'd get that right. Didn't get beat on that same trick a second time. It's remaining. Trying to one-time it is Carruthers. And it's Lehman worked over by O'Connor. Now O'Connor just saw his man in the nick of time as Carruthers was about to bury him with the hip and shoulder. The Wave, 3 minor penalties for 6 minutes. The Wings, 4 minors for 8. That's Thurston setting it at the top. Has Lehman. It's Weicker trying to set the screen in front. Shot is well wide, caught up in the back of the net. Pfeiffer unchallenged. And looking for the open floor is John Tucker off the crossbar. And Tucker is down behind the net. And it may have been an illegal substitution called.
That's what it was. Tucker got crunched after he shoots there. It's a great pass. We don't really see if it was an illegal substitution. He hits the pipe. Goalie's best friend, and you see him get crunched into the back wall after the shot.
Now on that violation, no penalty handed out, so they're still at even strength, although they did stop the action. Tucker's up and fine. Spin move by Gold. Almost beat him on the bounce. A lot of traffic in front, a score. Wide open was Mark Gold, and he had a helpless Vinny Pfeiffer. He ties it at 5. Just a goal-mouth scramble, and Pfeiffer in no position.
See him make a great save there. Gets kicked out. You got to clean your men out. The Wings have to pick a man, get him out of there. Instead of that, the Wave have a free man pick the ball up while a wing is looking up in the air for the ball.
And Vinny Pfeiffer does
right
quite
here.
a backflip trying to get back.
There's no way. It's certainly not his fault. First thing you teach, the first thing you drill on is clean out front. Let your goalie control the ball.
Mark Gold scored a goal with 75 seconds remaining last weekend in Washington to force overtime. Scores his 3rd of the night, his 5th of the season. We're tied at 5. And some ragged play controlled by Tony Resch. Now it's Quattrini.
Taken now by the Wings. Pardon me, the Wave. Dave Quattrini.
Tony Resch, a real local boy from Yale University, where he put in his college work. He was the captain in his senior year of the football team and the lacrosse team, an outstanding defenseman. So defensemen can play the box game.
Here's Big Jeff Bozell. Churning up that open turf. Reeves has it off the loose ball. Of course, Tony Resch, we should mention, is a Penn Charter High School graduate. And there's French. Shot clock down to 25 as Evans substitutes. On the go. Much like in hockey, you can change on the fly.
They get a whole new line out here with that. Good interchange. It might pick up an open man because you catch the Wave not getting their man-to-man assignments correctly.
McGeaney tries to spin. Shot clock's at 5. Nice save off the arm of Timmy Hastings.
Paul French is a great finisher. That's the kind you like to see him score on. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the ball down low enough. Hastings makes a nice shoulder save on it. I think we found the...
There he is, Paul French, the All-American in 83 and 84 out of Virginia. Had 12 goals, 11 assists a year ago, 23 points. Also took the most shots, so with 56 shots on goal, somebody was setting him up. Little bit of a carpet problem down to our left in that corner. And there's the good work that sets up French.
A beautiful feed right on his stick, and he just puts it up too high, and Hastings makes a big save.
Remember, 2 minutes, 31 seconds remaining, tied at 5. Who would you say has had the better of play, or is the score indicative of the way our game has gone?
I think it's real even. Both teams capitalizing on opportunities, a lot of stuff off of rebounds and ground balls, and both goalies doing a real nice job in the net on straight-on shots.
French has McGeaney, but he's sandwiched before he can release, and perhaps McGeaney would have been better served to get that one off as soon as he received it. And it's Washington coming into the offensive zone with Lehman. Has a man. That's Hanley. The back pass in front. Beaten by Pfeiffer is Gold. Joey Gold, that is. Hanley picks up the loose one. And as he's thrown down, gets one off. Pfeiffer may be the difference, keeping Philadelphia tied. French worked on all the way down the floor by Lehman. Finally breaks it loose. And a holding penalty will be called.
Vinny Pfeiffer is very unique. Tonight, I think they've scored on him almost every shot. With the 2 off the rebounds with no fault of his own. But the other 3 are from outside that you wonder how he'll get by him. And then he's made numerous saves from 6, 7 feet away from him. Face on, acrobatic, makes the unbelievable. He's always been just so tough in close. A sign of a great athlete.
Gary Martin puts one off the left ankle of Hastings, which he covers. And a timeout called by Washington with 1 minute, 23 seconds remaining in period number 2 at the Spectrum. The Philadelphia Wings have 5. The Washington Wave has 5. We'll come back with the rest of the half in a moment. Well, last year's opening night drew over 14,000, the largest crowd in the history of the league. And tonight's opening night crowd may not quite equal that, but certainly a good-looking size house here at the building tonight. My guess would be somewhere around 11,5, and got to be happy with that. O'Connor beaten by Pfeiffer. And it's Starkey that comes up with it. Inside of 1 minute now remaining. Hoffman. Look at the size difference between Hoffman and Conley. And Conley gets a little help from Lehman. And he breaks with an open man on the other side. Conley stops and scores. How do you like that? Over the left shoulder of Tim Hastings for a 1-goal Philadelphia lead.
It's just what we've been talking about. It's amazing. Hastings and Pfeiffer make the big saves in close all night long. And then we get a 20-yarder that goes all sides. A real nice shot. As you can see, tries to go with his hand instead of his body.
Looked like he switched hands at the last moment,
and set himself up to go long side for John Conley.
Once again, he committed too soon, too. The goalie's down on his knees, and then it's tough. You can't get your stick off, all your weight's going down.
Is that almost automatic for a shooter if you see a goaltender on his knees to go shoulder high?
I think he was going shoulder high before he ever committed, to be honest with you. If he's able to pick that out and change the direction of his shot in that split second, he sure can play for me.
Resch is just wide. Tony Resch had that long side corner measured to try to give Philadelphia a 2-goal lead as we're inside 30 seconds in half number 1. And 20 seconds and counting as O'Connor begins to try to set the offense. And it's Kirk Thurston. Had the game winner last week, has done very little tonight. 10 seconds and counting. The goalie is out. Pfeiffer's got an open goal the other way. If he throws it the length of the floor, and he's just going to simply allow time to expire. No, that will not count. That will not count. Lovely pass, Tucker to French, but it comes after the blue light had gone on.
What a great look. Too bad. Just if Pfeiffer throws the ball, it's going to score.
So we have reached halftime, game 1 at the Spectrum Major Indoor Lacrosse League. A well-played first half. Philadelphia, a 1-goal lead at 6-5 over Washington. Stay tuned for our halftime feature.
And we are back at a halftime of our inaugural broadcast Major Indoor Lacrosse League season number 2. I'm Larry Rosen, and as season number 2 unveils, we also unveil for you a new commissioner of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. His name is Darrell Russell. Darrell, welcome to the league.
Thanks,
how'd you get involved?
Well, kind of accidental. I had coached and played at Loyola College, and I ended my active coaching in the late 70s. They asked me to coach the Baltimore franchise, kind of got me out of mothballs last year, and at the end of the season, they asked me if I would consider being commissioner of the league, and thus here I am.
Your roles, duties, and responsibilities?
Well, A to Z, soup to nuts, everything. I mean, I've basically been responsible for putting the show on the floor tonight, you know, drawing up rules, assigning officials, making sure everybody knows the proper procedure of when they come, when they leave, when they get on the court, when they get off, what's the goal, what isn't the goal, et cetera, statisticians, scorekeepers, popcorn vendors.
I would assume that with year 1 now under the belt, you'd like to be a lot more organized and handle yourself with complete major league dignity this season.
We're trying, Larry. We're trying to put a real big league face on. We think we're doing things a lot better than last year, but we had good success last year. Maybe it was accidental, but things sort of fell in place, and we're, you know, trying to learn from some mistakes we made and going about things a little better this year.
I do understand you have a political background, so we can get political answers. It's not surprising.
Yeah, well, I'm a lawyer. My profession is as a lawyer. I'm not doing very much of that right now. This is a full-time job. I have my office, but I don't really practice law right now. And I have somewhat of a political background. I'm a former office holder in Baltimore County.
Darrell, what would your goals be for year number 2?
Year number 2, to have good attendance, increase attendance at all 4 arenas, to increase awareness in the press, you know, maybe a little more recognition in some areas of the country that haven't heard of us yet. We want our teams to be given the recognition maybe some of the other big league sports and communities are. We want the Wings, for instance, to be on the same level eventually as the 76ers and the Flyers. It takes time, but, you know, that's where we're moving, hopefully.
You are getting some television exposure outside of the 4 markets, and that's got to be a positive, and I assume that could hopefully someday lead to expansion.
Oh, yes. Well, we have 14 cable systems around the country who pick up this telecast. It's all on a delayed basis. It'll start after 24 hours, and it'll be shown all hours of the night and day for the next 7 days around the country. And yes, expansion is on the horizon. If we get through this year, and I have no doubt we will, with a fair success, we'll add some teams next year.
Any ideas where that might be?
We're looking all over. It's amazing how many inquiries we've had for expansion, but we're looking right now toward the Northeast corridor. We're looking at Hartford, we're looking at Boston, we're looking at Long Island.
The hotbeds of lacrosse. We hope Philadelphia continues to be one.
Yeah.
Darrell Russell, thanks for joining us on our halftime report. I'm Larry Rosen. We'll come back with halftime analysis and more in just a moment. And it's halftime in what has been a nip and tuck game from the very beginning. Philadelphia got the early lead, though. First couple of goals came from their number 1 scorer, Pat Lehman. Here's the opener.
You see, nice ball movement down. We get a 2-on-1. The draw takes his time. Nice overhand bounce shot. First goal of the game.
And Lehman put the first 2 on the board. Mark Hoffman and Pat O'Connor responded, and we ended period number 1 tied at 2. We were 5-5 in the closing moments before the last goal put on the board by John Conley.
Just a sidearm whip shot that goes to the off-stick side of Hastings. Well executed.
There's the scoring summary. Hanley, Hoffman, and Gold for Washington. Jeff Bozell, Manley, Martin, and Conley for Philadelphia. Martin now has 4 goals on the season. We're through 1/2 with the new-look Philadelphia Wings, and a little bit of a different style played by the Wings in 88.
Yeah, definitely so. We're seeing a lot more picks for the people with the ball. Not as quite as much open field as we saw last year, and I think that has to be pushed. I think they got to get the ball up and try to finish better. We don't see John Tucker on the scoreboard. Seen him with a couple good shots. We saw great passes by him. He is becoming dominant, but he's not finishing, and he needs to do that.
We saw a quick shot there of Jim Beardmore, as Pfeiffer will stay in for half number 2, but Beardmore in the right-hand side of the screen, there he is, saying a little prayer behind the net, comes in for half number 2, and he is a much more active goaltender than either Hastings or even Vinny Pfeiffer.
Absolutely. You're in for a treat watching this young man go up and down.
What's your philosophy? Would you rather see a goalie stay at home, or do you like the excitement of having him become an extra attacker?
I've always believed you got to be yourself, Larry. If your traits are that you come out and that you got the physical talent to do it, God bless you and do it. What works is what I like.
And just underway in half number 2, 6-5 Philadelphia, as Joe Gold takes the hit from Lehman. And now that they've won the faceoff, we'll set it up. In the second period, Philadelphia led in faceoff 7-4. In period number 1, it was 3-2 Philadelphia. So a much better faceoff action for Philadelphia than a week ago. That's Sewell gets a little back screen, has Hanley if he goes to him. Instead, will take it behind. Looks for Gold, the one arm into the midsection. And Vinny Pfeiffer tries to cover. It's loose. And Pfeiffer fights off Gold. Oh, a bad pass off the glass. Yields only a loose ball.
Yeah, that's something that shouldn't happen, though.
Off the wing. And you are correct. Hanley on his way down gets the shot, and Pfeiffer covers. Well, that was a dangerous set of circumstances for Philadelphia.
Recovered nicely by Pfeiffer, just makes more work for himself. Maybe he wants a couple more cheers from the crowd here on another extra save.
In terms of penalty, the Wings had 4 minors for 8 minutes. The Wave 3 minors for 6. The Wave the lone shorthanded goal. Philadelphia working with what is basically their third line. Greaves at the top. Will work to his left and get one off well wide.
Dickie Greaves has got all the moves in the world. He gives you a John Tucker with a left hand. He can come back to the right well, but
they reset the shot clock, and that was apparently an incorrect move, as official Scott Smith has it. That clock was down around 15 when Greaves' shot went well wide. And they are counting it down now, probably to around 15, if my retina served me properly. And they're only going to give him 10. And again, Tucker has only 1 assist on the night. And they need him to get more involved offensively. And now the shot clock is at 45. As again, they're trying to run it back down. Tony, of course, if you could go over exactly why that was not a shot on goal and why the clock should not have reset.
It's got to be on the cage. The goalie has to stop it from going in and touch it, or it's got to go in the goal. So it was obviously not on the cage. The goalie didn't touch it, so therefore it should not reset. And it doesn't count for a save as the goalie either unless it's on the cage.
Greaves might have to do it alone. No, he looks with that tough pass to Bozell rather, could not come up with it. And there's our first 45-second violation. And that John Tucker Wings profile that we had for you in period number 1 that we had a little bit of technical trouble with we're going to show to you at our next stoppage, so please watch for that, the MVP, Johnny Tucker. And maybe we show the piece, it'll get John going. Here's Thurston, who was silent in the first. Worked over by Tony Resch, a defensive back at Yale University. Years gone by, goes well wide.
Nice defense by the wings. They're sliding. They're more conscious of helping out, playing team defense.
Mark Gold goes right around Tucker. Pfeiffer beats him. As Tucker was really manhandled very easily by Gold. There's Gold again. And good placement of the basket by Vinny Pfeiffer. And you really have to anticipate, as Pfeiffer did. Here's French waiting for the line change. Page will join him.
Trying to see who can get the momentum here. Both teams fighting to get a goal or just establish something, and it's going back and forth. Pfeiffer really right now is keeping the wings in the game. You know, you can play much a more aggressive defense when you really believe in your goalie, when you know he's going to make the stop. And you can see that in the wings. They're coming out. They're being more aggressive in this half. They just got faith in Pfeiffer. If they're going to get beat, they know he's going to make the save. And boy, you can really start to put pressure on the man with the ball.
Great shift out of Dave Tasker. Picks up his own rebound and sets the man up in front. And Page can't come up with it. McGrath breaks it loose for Philadelphia. So this line, while not all that productive on the scoreboard, has at least kept the play in Washington's end. And a whistle as the net has become slightly offline.
This is where they want Michael Page. They got him up top. They want him to create something now. Well, he gets rid of the ball. That's where I would want him to go make that little dip dodge, try to get a slide and hit the open man.
It's Tasker at the top. Without a screen, will go it alone. An easy one for Beardmore. And here comes the big fella. Well, he sets off Bill Weicker and scores. So that's Weicker from Beardmore. And we're tied, and immediately the element of Beardmore in the open floor pays a dividend.
Absolutely, and we see Tasker take what I would consider not a good selective shot, and then come down the other end, and Tasker's got a chance there to bury his man, misses him, absorbs the check and goes in and puts a tough shot past Vinny in close.
So number 40, Bill Weicker, gets goal number 1. We are tied at 6. A little over 4 minutes into the second half.
And I think on that play, you got to question Tasker's shot selection and then his defense at the other end.
Kurt Beardmore, his second assist in as many games. He needs an equipment repair down to our right.
That's the difference right there. We saw it. The first time he makes a save, the first time he gets the ball. It doesn't look for the outlet. He's out of the goal. He's gone. You now got 6 on 5 against you. You got Jimmy Beardmore playing against you. You got an extra offensive player every time he touches the ball.
And again, it's Gold taking the draw with Conley. Is it difficult to pass with that oversized Cage, or has he learned the control necessary?
No, I don't think so at all. I think it says when you get used to it, you can have the same kind of direction and efficiency as the smaller stick. I don't think he has the velocity. But he's also just a tremendous athlete. His mobility is what really sets him up, and his speed.
Looks like Lehman is hurt for Philadelphia, kind of limping, but it does not hurt. As here's Carruthers with a stride. Has a trailer, uses them, scores. Bart DeSico off a lovely pass from Carruthers. And we're 7-6 Philadelphia. Meanwhile, down at the left end of the screen, a wing is down. Here's the play.
Here's the play. Nice outlet pass. Finds his man. He saw his man peripheral vision. Gives him a nice pass. That's a surprising shot by DeSico. He keeps it in his left hand. He really reduces his angle here when he comes in. You see him keep the stick in his left hand, but he keeps it away from the defenseman. Makes a nice play past Hastings. Big goal.
The Towson State All-American failed to score in 5 games last year. There is Lehman, and that's a tough one. Looks like it is his right knee or ankle. He stayed out there for the entire shift despite the problem. And they are not allowing any weight down on that right leg at all.
He's not the kind of person that you can afford to miss. He's been a prominent factor in the ball game tonight.
And up the chute he goes. Again, Philadelphia, their first goal of the second half from Mark DeSico. It's 7-6. Where will you miss Lehman the most?
Well, tonight he's been a finisher. He's put the ball in the goal. He's also had a couple key outlet passes. He started that last break, so you're going to miss him all over.
And we'll see if we get a little bit more of Corrigan as the extra man. Manley and Soule going toe-to-toe. And John Tucker comes out with it. Tucker has not had the ball very often tonight. Gets a screen from Bozell and drops for Greaves. The spin move. Look how high the rebound. Winds up about 10 rows deep.
Dickie Greaves can shoot a lacrosse ball. He's got amazing wrists and forearms. When he gets down in that sidearm whip, he can really crank. That time he hits a pipe. Goalie's best friend comes through for Mr. Hastings. But you got Tucker and Greaves on the same line. It's so hard to control both of them.
And the loose one comes all the way back to Vinny Pfeiffer.
That's definitely a face-off technique that John Tucker just used. It was developed from the Australians, where you cover the ball with the stick and then pull it between your legs back behind you. He puts it back to his goalie.
Manley starting the offense a little bit further out than they might like. It's Tucker now. Will use some brute strength. Shot never reaches the net.
I think Tucker's got a whip in his stick. Sometimes your shooting strings get too tight. It causes a whip. You saw that ball almost come down and hit his toes then when he shot it.
Well, even though he's not scoring, he'll help you on the defensive end. Here's Rick Soule. Has a man open. Good anticipation, Pfeiffer. He's well out of his net. But he'll have time to range back in before Pat Hanley runs it down. And back we go to Soule. Good team defense by Philadelphia. Pfeiffer handles the short hop and picks up his own rebound.
That was another great save by Pfeiffer.
He is triple teamed along the boards, and we get a whistle. And Philadelphia possession. Called that unnecessary charging from the rear. And here it is.
Got him up in the face. Same penalty at the other end that Hastings got hit. And there's another one, a cross check up in the neck.
And some holding. And all that yields is a round of applause for Vinny Pfeiffer. Tony Resch will start the play and use his man Pfeiffer. Tries to catch it with the glove hand. That's not going to work. As he's still trying to clear out some cobwebs. Here's Philadelphia. Slowly working through center. A low-scoring period number 3. 8:15 and counting as Page has it at the top. Michael Page out of University of Pennsylvania. Member of the 82 national team for the U.S. And an easy one for Beardmore. And here he goes. The scooter does not cross the center line, but sets up Mark Gold for a... Well, that goes in. Yes, indeed. The arms are up.
See,
Mark Gold has tied it.
What Beardmore creates is he brings the ball up. A wingman has to take him to stop him. I'm not really sure you should. Why not let him come? But as soon as you do, then he hits the other player. There's no slide. No one picks him up because they've all got their men except for the guy who slid off and took the goalie. And Beardmore hits that open man, and here he comes down. By the time you slide across, you can't get there. Pfeiffer makes the save, falls down, and his stick comes parallel. The ball comes out and goes in. But you can't blame Vinny Pfeiffer, and you got to give the assist to Beardmore, even though he doesn't get one in the books.
And that's goal number 2 of the night for goal number 4 of the year. Tied at 7 midway through period number 3 of the Spectrum. Philadelphia again comes up with the draw as Conley really doing a nice job. Conley, great stutter step, scores. What a lovely individual effort by John Conley. And 11 seconds later, Philadelphia ranges back up by 1.
There you see, great stutter step. Back the other way to his left, then back to his right hand. Great shot between the legs. and it's in. Once right here, watch. He switches over to his left hand. He feels that wrap check coming, goes back to his right hand, keeps his head in front, so it's good protection, and puts it away. John Conley is the most improved player in this league this year that I've seen.
He was a midfielder on the outdoors. Did he have a little bit more trouble getting adjusted? Well, we will address that point in a moment. But first, let's meet up close John Tucker, the league MVP, and a bit of a crowd pleaser, loves playing here in Philadelphia.
People call me, an actor by nature or whatever. I just try. That's just instilled in me, a little extra energy to kind of play up to the fans and the whole bit. They're paying a dear price for tickets, whatever it is, $10 to $15, and they deserve a good show.
Although Tucker is a Baltimore native, given the choice, he picked Philadelphia.
When I first started Box Lacrosse, they gave me an opportunity to play on any team I wanted down in the Southern Division, either Washington, Baltimore, or Philadelphia. And I know Baltimore fans are going to hate me for saying this, but I said this last year in an interview, I'd much rather play in Philadelphia. I just feel that place is an amazing place to play. And, you grow up thinking, you look at the Spectrum on television, Rocky fought there and the whole bit, and the Flyers play there. And, it's incredible. It's an incredible experience. If anybody ever had a chance to do it, when I have a son, I look back and tell him that I played there, and that's like the mecca of sports, Philadelphia Spectrum.
And play just getting back underway. The draw controlled by Hoffman for Washington, wing to wing. O'Connor has a man. The look inside for Hoffman. Rebound handled. Starkey has a third shot. And really not much defense on that exchange for Philadelphia. The double team, Starkey and Martin. And Philadelphia comes back with it. The good speed of Conley. Good look to the wing. The shot from a bad angle, though, taken. And what a hit on that side. Kind of a rolling cross-body block by Gary Martin, warming to the occasion on the physical end of the play.
Yeah, Starkey hit him in the middle of the field, so Gary says, here's a little payback. I can play your game.
And there he is. Shot blocked by Crothers. Beardmore in the corner. They say this kid might turn out to be a real dynamo in the league. Sets up Sewell on the left wing. Has a man breaking. Pfeiffer handles in the middle. Shot taken by O'Connor. And now another wing player is down. And up quickly is Gary Martin.
Yeah, Gary's all right. There was a good collision there, both going for the ball and the defensive play. It's funny about screens. They're very effective. The only problem with screens is the shooter's got to put the ball through two extra people. Their own offensive player who's screening and the defensive player. So far tonight, I've counted 5 shots now that have hit the screener or have hit the defenseman. And here we're going to see, well, here Vinny makes a save. It's going to come out. But just before that, on the shot before that, they had hit the screen man, and that's one of the problems.
John Tucker moves to his right. Stops, double team, and finally stripped by Evander. And Joey Gold comes up with it. Gold, a hop step long outlet for Soule. And he'll await Hanley and Gold joining him to make it 5-a-side. There he goes alone. Pfeiffer gets committed out back. Almost an easy one for Hanley. And Lehman, again, that's John Lehman of Washington. Pat Lehman of Philadelphia went off injured a few moments ago. Gold shot off the breadbasket.
And yes, John and Pat are brothers on opposing teams.
Shot clock is at 8 now. As Gold sees it, he fires an easy one. Rebound over the shoulder shot. Almost a highlights film play for Washington. As Manley had it over the shoulder, back comes Philadelphia. Greaves takes 2 bumps, keeps his feet, has French. Just led him a half stride too far. And immediately Washington knows they can go back to their goaltender, Beardmore, a great trigger man, and really is always unguarded in terms of forechecking by the wings. And here's McGeady now, setting the scene from the top. Waits for Weicker, line change complete as Thurston comes on to join.
first half, we find one Washington Wave goal off a transition play in the entire half. Second half, because Beardmore's in the goal, starting things from that end of the field, we find 5 shots and 2 goals because of him transition-wise.
Good save left arm by Pfeiffer on McGeady. And here they come 3-on-1. But a whistle will be called. And a 2-minute penalty. And it looks like it may be an illegal substitution being called by Rich Tamburini. And we'll see if we get the official. It is indeed a bench minor. Too many men on the field. And Corrigan will serve it. And much like hockey, the line change is you cannot join the play until the man you're replacing has fully left the scene, even if you're both actually a step on the floor at the same time. Here now the diamond defense of the Wings. The Wave 1 for 3 on the man advantage. The over-the-shoulder pass for Soule. Again, Hanley at the top. Excellent defensive exchange by Philadelphia in front. Forces Hanley to come all the way back into the neutral area to come up with it. The hop skip goes long side shoulder. There's Beardmore at his own end. And here he comes. Soule's shot might have caught some pipe. Shot clock will reset.
I think Pfeiffer's elbow got a little bit of that.
All alone in front. Great save. Either Pfeiffer or Bozell got it. And a whistle to stop play to separate some combatants on the far side.
And here comes the Philadelphia crowd. Real good defense. Phenomenal save by Vinny Pfeiffer. Gets his left foot down, makes a great kick save, and I'll tell you what, I'd love to see a replay on that. I don't think we have it, but Bozell jumped in the back of that cage, and I think he might have got it. Here it is. Great pass across. You see Pfeiffer and Bozell. Bozell's foot and Pfeiffer. You teach your defensemen, if you don't have your man, they're taking a shot, get in there and back up that goalie. There's a defenseman who's taught to play field across defense, and you see Bozell jumping in that cage.
Well, McGrath got nailed for a boarding penalty. Steve McGrath out of King of Prussia.
I can't believe that because I thought that McGrath was the one who got boarded.
And Philadelphia will call a timeout with 3:05 remaining. So suddenly now it is a 2-man disadvantage for Philadelphia. And I guess we'll see a little triangle defense, although this is something we don't see all that often. The first time a 2-man manpower advantage for Washington.
I really think the referees made a big mistake here, Larry. They got the wrong man in the action. McGrath got taken into the boards. He didn't board, and they made the wrong call here. But and certainly the Philadelphia crowd is letting them know that they feel that way too. Yeah, now you're going to find the 2-man advantage. This is where you get the layups. This is where ball movement is very, very important. You're
and
good
generally,
shooters.
You don't come out and challenge much beyond the arc of the circle.
Yeah, you really want to stay in, make him take a perimeter shot, hope your goalie's going to get a stick and keep the rebounding close. One thing I've noticed tonight, Pfeiffer, if he's got any kind of fault at all, and he's been outstanding in the goal, is that his rebounds are getting away from the crease, and it is causing a problem. They're getting 2 or 3 extra shots because he can't control his rebounds. It's something he's going to have to work on. Keep his eyes a little bit more on the ball, try to keep that rebound a little bit closer and cover it better.
And again, that is Corrigan serving the bench minor, has 55 seconds remaining. And McGrath attributed a minor, so it is a 5-on-3. John Tucker at the top with 2 men on the back line. 5-on-3, clock is rolling. Lehman to Gold. They'll challenge Gold. That leaves the man open. That would have been an easy layup, as Tony calls it, had the pass been handled off Soule. There is Soule. Comes around in front of Pfeiffer. Beats him. Big save, Pfeiffer. And smartly knocked over the window by John Tucker.
I would have rather seen him hold on to it, put it against his ear, and take some punishment. But
okay. Gold
shot. Nice save. Washington's beating themselves right now, taking these perimeter shots.
That one was blocked by Mark DeSico off his right between the shoulder blades. And 10 seconds remaining on the first bench minor. Lehman comes in at 12 feet away and stares down Vinny Pfeiffer, and he beats him. There's a score. Just as the first bench minor expired, Rick Soule beats Pfeiffer over the shoulder, and they should be able to get McGrath out as well, as the first had expired indeed.
Soule's been going for this far corner on every shot. He's missed it 3 times. This time, he grabs it. Vinny can't get the elbow there. He went all 3 times with the same shot. Same angle, just missed the cage. This time he pulls it in.
And really, the Wings have done a great job defending for a minute or so. And now the team's back at even strength. The Wave now 2 of 5 on the power play. Again, the penalty, the bench minor had expired. Conley walks it alone. His shot is off the floorboards. Conley a real pepper pot all night long. Inside of 2 minutes in the third, nothing to pick between the two teams, tied at 8. Mark Gold takes a butt end from Tasker, stays on his feet, but has no shot. Alone in front, big save at the floor by Pfeiffer off Weicker.
Vinny Pfeiffer is an anticipator. You got to pick that out about him. He's going to guess 95% of the time before the shooter shoots where he's going. He might think him a little bit and let him think he's got that open, and then get there as he sees the man start to shoot. And if he guesses right, he's going to be hot, he's going to be on. It's probably what makes him so effective inside.
And Lehman returns. That's good news. Pat Lehman left with either an ankle or knee problem early in the period, makes his first appearance. And that's good news for Philadelphia. Here's French, who's been silent tonight. Ranges back behind, sets it out front. Shot hits the ankle of a Wings in front, John McGaney rather, and it leads to a 2-on-1. Patrino is open on the wing. He accepts. Shot again, a guess by Pfeiffer. And when you guess right, you look like a Hall of Famer.
You sure do. He gives him that weak side. He says, go ahead, you can probably score there. And as he lets it go, his elbow gets there and makes the save.
35 seconds remaining and counting as Thurston has it to the open floor. They will hold for 1. Starkey waits for the rest of the line to change. 20 seconds and counting. And we'll see if Beardmore comes up and joins the play. As he looks at the clock, he will come on up in the final 10 seconds, I do believe. O'Connor. The short pass across to Hoffman. Weak shot in front with 5 seconds. French from behind, and that is how period number 3 will end. So, we played 3 periods complete at the Spectrum. The Washington Wave have 8. The Philadelphia Wings have 8. We'll come back with the 4th and decisive quarter in a moment. And the difference keeping the Wings afloat right now has to be Vinny Pfeiffer.
Yeah, just a great reaction goalie. My God, is he so quick once a shot is off. Once again, though, we said, as he just does there, his concentration level is tremendous. He's going to rely on his great instincts. He's also going to duke you a little bit. He's going to say, this is open on my left. Shoot there. It's funny, Larry, against good shooters, that stuff works. Against lousy shooters, you say, the left's open, the kid can't hit the left, he hits the right, you go to the left, and he scores. But in this caliber of a league, you're going to make those great saves because they're going to be able to put the ball where you're leaving it open.
And in terms of face-offs, 4-3, the Wave in the third period. There's Beardmore, had a pair of assists in the third quarter. This time Starkey takes the draw for Washington. First time we've seen that tonight. And Conley comes away with it.
Conley's done a great job off the ground tonight, everywhere tonight, but off the ground, a lot of ground balls. He's a tough little character.
And that's Lehman again. Comes back from that little bit of a leg problem he had early third quarter. And we'll see how efficient he can be. And they reset it with Martin. Again, Martin making his first Spectrum appearance. And Lehman tried to go long side. 4-on-2. Pfeiffer guesses and guesses right on O'Connor. Vinny Pfeiffer kind of shuffles it back into the corner. And Mark DeSico plows in. Parades the loose ball, parades the fast break. And here comes Philadelphia. And Carruthers goes end to end and tries to sweep it in on the ground. It's underneath Beardmore. And Gary Martin shows his aggressiveness.
Jimmy Beardmore knew he was out of the cage. He knew he was in big trouble. He grabs Gary Martin's stick and holds it. Pretty smart, gets away with it. Referees don't catch him.
Kind of a cagey character. When you've got a coach for a dad, you learn those kind of tricks.
Yeah, that's experience and being smart and having a father for a coach.
Here we go.
And there's Greaves at the top. A little bit of a jersey hold from O'Connor. And we'll see if we get a whistle. Holding. Not a penalty, just a possession.
I think it's a big goal we're going to see here at 8-8. You're starting off the fourth quarter. You want to get the crowd back into it. It's important for the Wings. It's important for the Waves. Whoever can get this momentum going is going to win this ball game. This is a big time right now.
Again, the Wave have yet to commit a penalty in the second half. So Philadelphia has yet to show their manpower advantage skills. Bozell, the big fella, tries to dipsy-do on Sadler. Here he goes with a head of steam. Short hop is wide. Tucker comes out with it. I love watching Bozell move, the big guy. When he has a head of steam, he's nasty.
Yes,
now he has a loose rebound. Bit of a cross check here. And a breakaway. Nice anticipation, though. Defensively by Greg Manley to stop a would-be breakaway. And Manley thought he had some manpower advantage before Soule caught up to him. They'll complete the line change as Page and McGrath come on. There's Page. And Tasker joins.
It's funny tonight, just watching Paul French. Paul French is almost playing to me like he's not in shape. He's missing a little passes. It's just that little tiredness. There he makes a good drive, though, and a good shot. Nice save by Hastings.
Off the elbow. Nobody really in front, kind of a five-man perimeter set. Now they weave through for Tasker. He gets held, whacked, shoots wide.
Tasker is a true traditional box player. He's only got a left hand. We see it so evident there. The Wave is taking his left hand away from him.
But we do have a holding call coming up against Washington. So that is indeed their first penalty of half number 2. Called by Scott Smith, and it will be Forrester, Big Kevin Forrester, kind of a defensive and hammering specialist, who will wind up in the penalty box at the 12-19 mark of period 4. And this is a big opportunity for Philadelphia. They've been stuck on 8 for quite some time.
I think Mr. Forrester plays like the great infamous David Schultz of the Flyers. Yeah, he's their hit man. There's no doubt about that.
It's Tasker at the top. They try to set some cutters through.
Last year, if the form holds true, the Philadelphia Wings' best quarter all year long was the fourth quarter.
Tucker, no screen in front, so that was easy for Beardmore. And possession belongs to Philadelphia. Not very much happening in front for Philadelphia as they try to quicken the pace of the ball movement at the perimeter. Tasker off the hip. That's very easy for Beardmore again.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm real impressed with Tasker in the middle, but he's been there for 2 games, so that's what Coach Evans wants, and he's the boss.
There he is. Again, it's pretty much a box defense. French's shot was ill-advised, ill-timed, ill-placed. Here's Gold. Just goes right around Tasker, but Tasker hustles back and beats him. Well, that was great hustle by Tasker. It looked like he was stripped. 4-on-2 Philadelphia. Wide open in front. French is there. And Manley didn't give it to him. Looked like French was wide open calling for the ball. And Manley shot it.
Especially when you get the goalie out of killing your angle. If you can go across. There it is.
Lehman scores.
You got to get that goalie moving. If you get him moving, he's yours. He's duck meat.
So a power play goal for Philadelphia. They're now 1 for 3 on the night. And the hat trick for Mr. Lehman. Good head fake, good hesitation. Bangs it by. Number 3 on the night for Patty Lehman.
Great placement. The great look across cage. You get the goalie moving there. You see Hastings move. His whole body's coming across. There's no way to get it back. Lehman puts it away.
At the 4:06 mark, the tie is finally broken with a 1-goal Philadelphia lead.
Now you send Conley out for the face-off, and this is where you'd love to control and take it.
And indeed, the loose ball will be picked up by Pfeiffer. And start the shot clock. Pfeiffer had a notion about bringing it out to the neutral area himself, but Coach Evans, I don't think he wants that kind of style out of Vinny.
No, that's not Vinny's style. That really isn't. He starts things going with a pass, but not by bringing the ball himself.
Lehman has a screen. Good jump switch, though, by the Wave defense. Picked up by Gary Martin. Can he get it off? Had a man in front.
Yeah, he tried to come back to the weak side, but missed his man.
And here's Lehman, the back pass to Soule. He hops and pops into the breadbasket. And Pfeiffer's awfully big target when he's holding his ground. Martin has Tucker coming off the bench. Score! They will call that an illegal substitution, though. No goal. As again, Tucker gets nailed for coming off the bench too quickly. The second time Tucker's been caught.
There he goes. You draw him out. You get Beardmore not only comes out with the ball, Beardmore will come out to try to cut down that defensive angle, or also just to try to intercept like he did then against Tucker. But Tucker with the illegal substitution.
So that is an illegal substitution. Too many men on the floor against Tucker. John Tucker will spend 2 minutes. The Wave 2 for 5 with the manpower advantage. And here they come with an opportunity to tie. Again, it's Pat Hanley, Joe Gold. They work it from behind. Nobody challenges the man behind. Lehman is dangerous. And through a screen, Pfeiffer handles. And comes up with a loose ball in the corner. A little bit more difficult to scoop. He's out of position. Easy goal, Washington.
You never, ever throw the ball out in front of your defensive end. You never, ever do it in any sport. And Vinny Pfeiffer there breaks a rule. I mean, with his experience and so forth, it just hasn't happened. Nobody's in the cage. He's going to put it by the defense, and it goes. You see Pfeiffer here in the corner, shoots it out over his shoulder, picked up by the Wave, and they put it home.
And that's Joey Gold that gets the goal. His first of the night. He's had a bit of a knee problem. He was questionable before the game. But he scores his first. And here at 5:30 of period number 4 with 9:30 remaining, it's 9-9. Kind of low scoring for an indoor lacrosse game as we begin to learn the history and what an average game will be played like.
I think we're finding that the goalies are doing a better and better job.
Breakaway handled off Greaves by Beardmore. As Greaves really had more time than he might have expected. Could have stopped and picked a corner. Tucker stops his man in the middle of the floor. Thurston and Tucker now. A little peppery. Kirk Thurston, a bit of a shooter, not known as a fighter.
I'll tell you what, you got your fourth quarter, you got 8 minutes left. I think the last thing you want to do is expend your energy wrestling somebody on the ground, especially when you're John Tucker and we need you. You can just see the energy that gets sapped out of you.
Of course, Tucker was in the penalty box for the too many men on the floor call. The goal was scored very quickly, and there goes Tucker back in the box, probably for 3 minutes. Again, no 5-minute majors for fighting. They call it a 3-minute major. And Kirk Thurston, who won the game in overtime last weekend, will be in the opposite penalty box.
If I was Glenn Little, I'd like that trade. We'll take Tucker out of the game for Thurston anytime we can.
Clearly some frustration being shown by John Tucker, as he really has not been all that involved offensively. The defensive strategy for Washington has been to not let him get the ball, simply deny him and force somebody else to do it. And now we have our first fighting penalties of the night.
Dickie Greaves, very interesting story here tonight. I think he's gotten himself open. He's very quick. He's had the ability to get a lot of shots off, but he has not been able to put them home, and that's been a big key. I think the Wings could be up 4 or 5 goals as Dickie completes his plays.
And clearly the gentlemen that played a year ago have shown some superior skills and look to be at least a little bit ahead of even some of the guys that had better credentials in college, if you will, learning the indoor game.
True.
And they'll play it at even strength. Bozell the shot. Rebound, score! A muck and grind kind of goal inside. Put away by number 22, Tony Resch. The defensive back shows his football skills and scores from his knees.
Gets the rebound right there. Dives across, puts it by. Hastings is down, committed, can't get there. That's your garbage. There was Bozell. They didn't pick him up. Resch picks up the ground ball and puts it home. Gets hammered. Great job.
Awful lot of fans of that young man in the building tonight. 24-year-old Tony Resch from Penn Charter High and Lafayette Hills gave his people a reason to cheer as it's 10-9 Philadelphia. And it's been pretty much a one-goal game throughout the night. Conley hammered by Matt McGeady.
It's got to be some thrill for Tony Resch to come home to his Philadelphia surroundings and play in the Spectrum. Can you imagine how many times he's been here to see the Sixers and the Flyers.
Conley and Evander. Conley and Evander. Little John Conley kind of instigated that one. Punching with gloves at masks with screens.
Right. Very interesting. In hockey, I think you see the gloves come off and fight. Lacrosse players, they're not going to injure those hands. Those helmets hurt. Those face masks hurt.
And that one was just a you and me babe between Conley and Evander. Scott has about 30, 35, 40 pounds on John Conley. And Johnny, as I was watching the action, really pretty much instigated it with a couple of stick swings, and he really wanted to go. And Scott Evander obliged.
I'll tell you one thing that we've noticed tonight is that there's definitely more fighting, and that they're definitely going to, I guess the referees let it go until they're tired or they see someone's dominating and then get in there.
And there it begins. And I don't know about you, but I think it's rather comical to watch gentlemen with gloves and helmets and screens covering their faces try to throw hooks and jabs at each other. And as you said, they're not going to take the gloves off and risk the hand. And I think we'd be better served if they did that before or after the contest.
Absolutely. It's just not part of the game in my viewpoint. Not in a game where there's so many opportunities for good physical hitting and good physical checks. And I think you can make somebody pay legally a lot dearer.
Conley did indeed get 2 extra minutes for what's called unnecessary roughness, and I do indeed agree with that, as it looked to me as if Conley instigated the fight. They do not have a, quote, instigator call, but he does get the extra unnecessary roughness penalty. So we will have a man advantage for Washington when we return. The Wings lead by 1 midway through period number 4. And back in the Spectrum, twice in the 4th period, the Wings have taken a 1-goal lead. Both times an immediate penalty, immediate manpower advantage. Washington, they converted number 1. Here they look at number 2. And here is why the extra penalty was given to Conley, as he came up first, second, and then threw a punch.
Yeah, we saw the referee's hand go up in the signal of a penalty as soon as he came across and hit him with a cross-check in the head. So
that was the unnecessary roughness, right. And then the fisticuffs that followed led to 3 minutes. So Conley, who's been an effective player, will be missing for 5 full minutes. O'Connor. As they play 4-a-side, O'Connor scores. So they play it 4-a-side, and then the last 2 minutes will belong to the minor, and they tie it up immediately. At the 8:22 mark, O'Connor does it alone.
Does alone, no help at all on defense. They just let him go. They take everybody else away. He comes in one-on-one. Nice bounce shot. I think a little quicker release than Pfeiffer anticipated. Spy him before he can even set up to make the save. So he gets frozen there.
And O'Connor had a hat trick. in game 1, now has 5 goals in 2 contests. One of the quicker players on Washington and their leading goal scorer. Again, the Fighting Majors will be timed down first, and then there'll be a 2-minute minor beginning to count at about the 5:28 mark rather, to John Conley. And we're tied at 10. And the scenario favors Washington right now.
Yeah, they've got a little momentum going. They've been able to get back in this twice when the Wings had an excellent chance to end it for them.
Hoffman double teamed. And the loose one is picked off by Jeff Bozo. 3-on-2 if they hurry. Martin pops off the bench. McGrath cuts to the middle, has Martin on the wing, but it's stripped away by Starkey. Now Martin has it. Shot is kicked away, never reaching the net.
Yeah, you can't drop that stick and shoot. You're telling everybody in the world where it's going. The defenseman drops his stick, he makes the save. Goalie doesn't even have to worry about it.
Hoffman breaks the stick, so he comes off, and Weicker comes in. Again, Pat O'Connor now with 2 goals and 1 assist. So 5 goals and an assist in the 2 games. Now Washington can rag the time because they're about a minute and a half away from the manpower advantage. Here comes Beardmore to join the play as Mark Gold gets one off wide. It did reset the clock, though. And it's Dave Quattrino who resets with McGeady. Right around Bozell. At the top, Weicker. Loves to go left. Great kick save, Pfeiffer.
Runs
Had a
through
bit
the
of a
crease.
violation on McGeady. And you got to protect your goaltender. Pfeiffer is down temporarily. Tony Resch knows you've got to protect your goaltender.
I thought that was interference before that on across the crease by the Washington Wave.
Wow, and Resch will go into a now crowded penalty box.
We see here, we see a great save. There's the save. Ball gets kicked back by Resch to Pfeiffer, and here comes the Wave through the crease. And then Resch pushes him away and through. But he hit Resch from behind, got him in the back of his knee, and there's no call there.
Well, I do believe they have the coincidental minors. It'll be number 22, Tony Resch, getting 2 minutes for roughing. And that is all. So it is indeed a 4-on-3 right now as Pfeiffer handles that one. It will be a 2-man advantage in about 45 seconds.
Want to try to control the ball here and then all of a sudden spring somebody long. And I think if he held the ball 1 more second and then he springs
Gary Martin
up front, he's got a goal.
Again, about 30 seconds remaining on the Fighting Majors. Then a John Conley 2-minute unnecessary roughness minor will begin clocking off. And at that point, it'll be a 2-man disadvantage, Philadelphia. Soul, good stick fake. Pfeiffer handles.
Soul's had a lot of shots tonight. He has not shot effectively.
Lehman to Soul. The whip is wide. Rebound, score by Joey Gold. And it's the 11-10 Washington, and they're still going to have a manpower advantage in a moment.
Well, that time we see Vinny Pfeiffer makes, there's the rebound that comes out. The goalie gets backed up. Pfeiffer comes out and tries to hit the man with the ball. I think it would have been much more effective to see the defenseman come out.
Yeah, there's Mark DeSico just kind of planted in behind the goaltender.
He's trying to make the save, and he should be going out to get the man who's coming in with the ball. There's no reason for him to sit back there.
So for Joey Gold, goal number 3, we've got a conference across on the other side as we look at Coach Evans and his squad to see just exactly where we stand in terms of the penalty time. By my clock, there should be 10 seconds remaining on the Fighting Majors involving Conley and O'Connor. Then O'Connor would come out and the Conley minor would begin counting off at the 5:28 mark. And it would be another manpower advantage for Washington. They've scored back-to-back goals to take a 1-goal lead with 5:38 remaining. And Philadelphia has had very little offense in period number 4.
Yes, that's very true, Larry. And, you know, I was getting into that before about when you get the ball in your man-down situation. If you can control the ball, you frustrate that power team. They take chances to try to get it back, and all of a sudden you spring somebody long. It's almost like beating a full-court press in basketball, and then spring that guy long and hit him with a pass. He'd waited 5 more steps for Martin to clear his man. They would have had a one on the goalie down at the other end. I think that's something you got to prepare for, though, in practice. You just can't draw it on a diagram and say, go do it tonight.
Young Mr. Beardmore has been very efficient, although he has not really been tested all that often in the second half.
No, he hasn't. But, you know, the thing about Jimmy is that you almost forget how good he is in the cage because of his heroics out of the cage. And he's made some big saves for them. Not many, but big ones when he's had to.
The Wave out shooting the Wings 55-42 unofficially through 3.5 periods. And in 2-1, exactly right at 5:28, the 2-minute minor to Conley begins to be counted off, and it's another manpower advantage for Washington. 5-on-4. And this time Hanley starts it from the far side. And a nice play by Bozell and Greaves to come out with it.
Now, once again, I think that if you keep it in here a little bit and then spring the guy long, keep everybody down. Don't move your people upfield.
We've got a clock problem again, as the shot clock did not reset to 45 when Philadelphia took possession. And now they will run it down a little bit. And here we go. Wings in possession, 4:55 and counting in your game. About 1:30 remaining on the Conley minor. Almost a strip by Soule.
You can use your goalie. That draws the other Wave defenseman. And there's the guy you want to spring.
And it's Manley. Will go down in front, off the knee of Hastings. Well set up by Manley. Tucker could not put it away. Lehman. Again, Philadelphia shorthanded right now. They're down by 1. Greaves. That one almost got through Beardmore. Rebound is thrown wide by Lehman. Philadelphia doing a great job. In front, Lehman had it measured.
That was a great look. That was a great look then by Tuck. He sees him, a great pass cross. Lehman doesn't put it home.
And Washington looking for a put-away score.
A couple big saves by Beardmore. Real good offensive effort. Boy, the Wings really needed one there.
Joe Gold, they had faked out Pfeiffer as Gold was kind of hiding it cradle-wise behind his back. It kind of made it look like Soule had the ball. And almost a wide-open corner for Mr. Gold. Here's Lehman, as the penalty should be expiring in about 10 seconds or so. Weicker to Gold. Conley will be out in 5. And here he comes at the 3:28 mark. So good job killing the penalty by Philadelphia. They stay within 1. And we've got an illegal push from the rear against Philadelphia. And Washington will retain possession. 13,814. Our attendance here at the Spectrum. Second largest crowd in league history. Second only to opening night a year ago in Philadelphia.
This is certainly a big play here for the Washington Wave. They can certainly get some little icing on the cake with another goal. And very, very important for the Wings to get the ball back and get something going at the other end.
Thurston. Well wide. Inside 3 minutes.
Washington retains the ball.
Great save on the anticipation by Pfeiffer. Conley the rebound.
Time is wasting. About 2.5 minutes left. Regulation time. Behind by a goal.
They kill 45 seconds. They get the ball back.
Good movement off the ball by Gold, but he's stripped by Bozell. Jeff Bozell has played himself a strong game, worked up quite a sweat. Learning the indoor game. Thurston spins over the shoulder off a foot of Conley in front. Loose one picked up And here's Bozell. Cannot challenge Beardmore. There's the added dimension of Beardmore. And that's a 45-second clock violation with 1:53 remaining. Pfeiffer will trigger.
Pfeiffer, good eyes, half court.
To Greg Manley. And we'll see when Coach Evans decides to pull his goalkeeper with 1:40. French gets around McGeady, gets it off, but without much strength behind it, and he is down on the floor. And we'll see if they stop play for him as French is down. No, they do not. The wave, 2-on-2. Shot is short hopped wide by Starkey. French is still yet to get up. And finally a whistle is called to allow Paul French to get off.
It looks like a shoulder to me, just by the way he's running off. Certainly looks like it's right shoulder.
Limp right arm. With 1:15 remaining, Philadelphia in possession. They've now lost Paul French. And again, we'll see how long Mr. Pfeiffer remains in the nets. Greaves with O'Connor. Has Mark DeSico as the trailer, and he'll go to him there. With Crothers. Inside of a minute. Crothers goes 5-hole. Rebound is slashed at. It's loose in front, and a major pileup.
Another great save by Jimmy Beardmore. Comes to the task. Crothers makes a good move, goes down the middle.
And Philadelphia will retain possession. There's the save right on in.
Not a real good shot, though. Beardmore makes the good save, but it bounces right in front of him. He's got good position. You got to go to the left or right.
Yeah, the basket was down before the shot even was off. And kind of like automatic. So 46 seconds remains. Philadelphia, down by a goal, will have the ball following this timeout. And what have you seen tonight to give you an indication as to where they might go for that final play?
Well, I think you got Greaves. If he keeps the same line, you got to throw Greaves and Tucker out there, maybe Gary Martin too. One of those three. They've been pretty much a one-on-one offense all night long. Once in a while, looking for a pick or somebody on the off-ball side, but pretty much they've been letting Greaves and Tucker, Martin try to find their own way in there. Let's see if that's what Dave Evans has set up. Defensively, just want to play good, strong defense. Don't allow them to have an easy off-ball situation, and a lot of communication.
There's a look at the upcoming schedule against the defending champion Baltimore Thunder the next time we come your way. And it's come down to this.
Lehman's going to start with the ball. No, he's not. He gives it up. He thought he heard a whistle.
Yeah, the clock did not fire. Good job by the officiating crew of Scott Smith, Tom Young, Rich Tamburino. And try to get the crowd into it. It's Tasker again at the top. Oh, that one was in the crick of the elbow for Beardmore. He tries to rag some time. He's drilled, but Weicker comes out with it. There's an empty net at the other end. If Washington, they're not even looking that way. They just want to rag it back to their own man. And timeout called Washington with 22 seconds remaining.
Cannot understand why Washington would ever call a timeout in that situation. They've got the Philadelphia wing goalie out of the cage. They've got the ball. Now all they're letting Philadelphia do is get a timeout where they can actually set up a defense, double the ball, decide who they're going to go after. They're going to see it settled. That just, to me, doesn't make any sense. But
a moment ago, we showed you the end-of-season contest. Here now, the next couple of contests. Again, it's the Baltimore Thunder, Saturday, January 30th at 8 o'clock. Well, 22 seconds remain and no possession, Philadelphia, and they must kind of scramble, I guess, to try to break something free.
Yeah, you got to double now. You got to go after the ball. You got to force a mistake. They're going to put Pfeiffer back in the goal. I think that if the Washington Wave are real smart, they'll use the talents of Jimmy Beardmore here and use him as the sixth man in their offense.
It certainly looks like they're set that way.
What you really want to do is start off in a pure man-to-man.
And we're underway. 19 seconds remaining. Beardmore's got it.
He's going to make him
Tucker's
slide.
got to go after
Here's
him.
the slides. They got to hit the open man. Here's a break.
14 seconds. Manley has a man in front, and it goes awry. It's Tucker in the corner. 6 seconds and counting. One last chance.
I don't even think they're going to get that. Here it
Desico
is.
shot it wide. That'll do it. And Washington has come into the spectrum in front of 13,814 and beaten the Philadelphia Wings by a score of 11-10.
Jimmy Beardmore does a great job in the goal, second half. And John Tucker misses a pass. He's a right-handed player. He was in his left hand. Have to give the Washington Wave credit. I got to give the Wings credit for getting the ball back in that final 20 seconds.
There was a tie for the MVP voting tonight, one on each side. Joey Gold and Vinny Pfeiffer, the goaltender for Philadelphia, will share the MVP honors tonight in a defensive struggle. Really not all that much open floor play. And again, I got to tell you, Coach, that the penalties that Philadelphia took shortly after establishing the one-goal lead early in the fourth quarter, and then the fighting majors with the unnecessary roughness that followed, may have proved to be the downfall for the Wings this evening.
You hit it right on the nail. There's no doubt about it. That's the difference, Larry. You got to show some discipline. I think Jimmy Beardmore, I'm shocked because I know I've been mentioning his name a lot in the second half, but to me, he was the difference in the game. He comes up with 2 big saves near the end. He causes 2 assists on 2 goals. How he's not mentioned for the MVP award, I wouldn't know, but
I got to agree with you. Down at the center of the floor, Commissioner Darrell Russell presenting the MVP awards for the night to Joe Gold and to Vinny Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer, a valiant effort, but it's an effort that comes in defeat. The Washington Wave 2-0, the Wings 0-2, both 1-goal losses, a tough loss for Philadelphia. Back to wrap it up in a moment.